Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 3 and episode number 261 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. Yeah. Today, recording day is Wednesday, November 29th, 2023, and it is going to be a pretty nice day here at the Beaver Lodge, although a little crisp. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, and with me as always is my friend, Mr. Grizzly. A big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. We have a nibble for you today, but before we do anything else, let's ask Mr. Grizzly, how's your mental health doing today, sir?
Well, good morning, Mr. Beaver. I'm mental health is a little off, has been for a few days. Got some stuff I'm working out, but one of the sure signs that you're emotionally affected is when your stomach goes sideways. And I have had gastrointestinal issues for the last few days, and whether or not people are aware, that also affects your mental health, and your mental health adversely affects your. It's all part and parcel and tied together.
And it itself.
Yeah, and it's just when you physically don't feel good, emotionally you don't feel good, and when you're emotionally not feeling well, your physical is kind of a self-repeating, So that's where I'm at right now. Less than good, and not feeling any better is the worst part. So I'm hoping that whatever this stomach thing is goes away quickly, because it's not. I'm drinking tea.
Same here.
Lemon ginger tea. I can't even have coffee. I haven't had coffee since Sunday.
Jeez. Yeah, I'm the insomnia is starting to get to me.
Yeah.
Yep, same here. Last night before bed, I was really abnormally short-tempered. Everything was annoying, and even though I've lost 30 pounds, and I was looking myself in the mirror, and on the side of my abs, I could actually see like indentation. It's sort of like, oh, actually, like there might be the beginning of some ab again for only the second time in my life. All I could see was the little punch in front and how my pecs sort of hung, and I thought, oh my God, everything's just so freaking droopy. God, I don't feel attractive in any way, shape, or form, which is really weird after having lost 30 pounds. You think you start feeling better about how you look, and no. So yeah.
So we got the winter blahs, and it's still autumn.
Yeah. I was now my Beaver sweetie, of course. Yeah, as always, the
More
way I look
reassures
and
you,
all that kind of
course.
stuff. But
Yeah.
and that's not usually a thing for me.
Mm,
Like I'm pretty happy with the way I like what I see when I look in the mirror 99% of the
right.
time. But last night I was just not having it.
Happens.
Not having it at all. Anyway, please sleep, and please, so the people who said that they're sending the APAP machine, it's 2 weeks late. Please relieve me. Oh well, but we'll get through it anyway. A couple of things happened. If the kits happened to tune in to the Dean Blundell show yesterday, we talked about it very quickly, but David Wallace was on it. And not only is the Crier Media Network being sued, I don't know if it's Dean specifically or the network being
Yeah, I
sued.
don't know.
That part I'm not clear on, but for $200,000 because free speech, right?
Yeah, the free speech advocates don't like it when you say things about them that are true.
Yes. Yes. Well, that's why they always call the media biased, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, because the question wasn't a gotcha question, but it got you. And oh, gee, we happen to be reporting inconvenient and unflattering truth about you at the moment, so therefore that's biased. Well, it seems that not 1 hour after the show was broadcast, David Wallace got slapped with a suit, and now he, after the last 200 copies of the Klondike Papers book get sold, he's not allowed to publish it anymore. Well, I guess he could try to defy it, but he does not have the resources to fight it.
So, real free speech advocates.
Oh, yes. And it seems that in Alberta now there are some cities or towns, I'm not sure, I'm guessing would be towns and cities wanting to hold referenda on not having symbols such as pride crosswalks and other things like that. And I don't know what the other things like that can be, because the only thing I think off top of my mind that happens to do that are pride crosswalks
Right.
and freedom of expression.
Well, so hate is winning in Alberta. We can't let that happen. We need to triumph over hate every time. And we did that here in
Yes, you
Ottawa.
have some news about that.
Yes, I'm going to put this on the screen. Claudio DiNardo, we wish to thank those in the Ottawa community who alerted us today that a booking for space at our conference and event center on November 28th is in fact part of a speaking tour by persons commonly associated with hate speech and beliefs that are entirely antithetical and utterly unwelcome to the Ottawa Conference and Event Center. Its management, employees, and other unwelcome to this center, management, employees, and others who use our facilities. Please be assured that the nature of this event was not disclosed to OCEC at the time of the booking. This booking has been canceled. Then there's a letter. This is the letter that was sent to Tammy Peterson from the Trinity Production Group. Leftists cancel Christian speakers in Ottawa. That seems like intolerance to me. Okay, there's so many problems with that statement.
Coming to be intolerant, and people are intolerant of our intolerance, so therefore we're going to call them intolerant.
Right,
and then
right.
whine.
It's this. It's Karl Popper.
Yep.
Paradox of tolerance.
You must tolerate my intolerance.
Yeah, you need to tolerate my intolerance. No, I'm not going to do that.
No, we're not going to do that. And it's the same thing we've been hearing. Like, there's been lots of debates, and I've said, okay, so what if my different opinion is you should not exist?
That's not an opinion.
Exactly. These are not opinions. You should have less rights than I do, and you should not exist are not opinions. And they're not merely different views.
And I guarantee you, if Jesus Christ himself came here today and heard them spout this stuff, he would smite them.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it might be, as Kit James here on the chat says, it's always better to let them speak. Yes, it might be always better to let them speak, but we do not have to give them a platform. Nothing's stopping them from speaking.
No, they can speak.
We just don't have to welcome them, host them, or offer them a platform or an audience. Let's speak.
You know,
and again, it's like, well, what if my thoughts? It's like, nobody's
censoring your thoughts.
You can have the most awful thoughts you want. It's what you do and say in furtherance of your thoughts and your opinions that matter. It's about what you do and what you say. And saying something is doing something. Speaking is an action. It's not just words. So yes, if you can find a field somewhere where people are going to all come and listen to you, say what you want. But nobody has to.
Well, they can go to Castleman. They've got
Yeah.
a temporary structure built there.
Nobody has a constitutional right to be given an audience, a platform, or to be broadcast.
No.
Or a
And
venue or
if
platform.
people start saying we don't want you here,
That's our freedom.
it's because they're showing you the door because they don't want to listen to what you have to say,
That's our freedom
and
of
we
expression.
don't have to listen to
Yeah.
it. We haven't stopped anybody from speaking.
You just can't do it here.
Just not going to do it here. That's all.
Sorry.
It's as simple as that. It's not censorship. Censorship is when the government prevents you from saying what you want to say. That's not taking place here. It was a group of concerned citizens who said, we don't want an intolerant hate fest in our neighborhood. And we let the management of the establishment know that's what was going to be taking place.
And had the management.
And somebody said, well, they probably knew, but, they thought they could get away. I'm like, I don't think that the Ottawa Event Center, which is attached to a very big hotel chain, would want to be attached to that sort of thing, period.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't think they would knowingly go down that route.
Yep. And these people are not known for being the most forthcoming and honest about who they are and what they do. I mean, we have Andrew Shearer that was not honest about anything about his past. We have Jeff, who's not honest about much of it. So, these people are not known for being forthright, forthcoming, and honest. We're here to have a religious thing.
Yeah, everything they speak would not fall. That would fall on deaf ears if Jesus was here. I mean it. I'm serious. And like, believer, non-believer, I don't care. You ever read the Bible? You ever read the words of Christ? I'm telling you, he would not agree with a damn thing these people say. Not a damn thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also, I see Kid James Eric, they have a right to cancel. I just hate the word platforming. And I can see where he's coming from because he provides what some people would call a platform. But James doesn't platform. It's what he does with his platform. He lets them talk and implode.
Mm-hmm.
This is not talking and imploding. This is an event where they're going to have a whole bunch of other like-minded people. There's nobody there.
It's an echo chamber.
There's nobody there to implode before. So there's a difference between putting a spotlight on someone and letting them say their piece and implode, live or die by public opinion. But there's another thing about, hey, let's let you all get together and help you along in your mission. It's kind of obvious, good friend. It's kind of obvious, good friend. I'm not giving away your secrets. You do your job, and you do your job very, 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 very well. But what you're doing is not platforming. There's a big difference. You are actually providing a community service. All right.
There's a big difference because they will be able to say, they'll say something, absolutely ridiculous, and it doesn't go unanswered.
Yes. Or,
whereas if they have a stage in an event center surrounded by people who want to listen to their hate, nobody's going to question them.
Nobody's going rah-rah wherever James is. So, you are, and I will go to the wall any day for you, my friend, if anybody accuses you of platforming, because
it's not what it is.
That's just people trying to sully you.
Mm-hmm.
So a little victory, because again, as we say, kids, there are more of us than there are of them. And also with regard to what's going on with Crier Media, there's a GoFundMe and people are contributing, and it's doing very well. And I listened to the show and I mentioned on it, maybe once this GoFundMe is over, because it's working kind of well, maybe what we need to do here at the network is start another one afterwards, which would help us fund a Lincoln Project Midas Touch style initiative, so that we can start making more content of a different kind with a different objective. And I put my hand up and I said, I'm more than happy to spearhead. And there's been a couple of people that said in. And one of the people who said in was Dean.
Okay.
So
this is cool.
Keep your eyes peeled. And also, I might have an idea as to how Mr. Wallace, without publishing his book, because we don't want any financial ill to come to him, might still be able to get the word out while not publishing. Yes, kits and cubs, QWeenBeaver can sometimes be an evil QWeenBeaver.
Queen.
I have a little Maleficent in me. But
Well, like I said, the truth shall set you free, and it's going to set a lot of people free and set other people into possibly an orange jumpsuit. But that's just I'm just asking questions.
But I only use my evil powers for good.
That's right. Well, it's
Being pedantic when it comes to the law sometimes can be very helpful.
remember something here that's important, and it's been expressed in films and television shows and in novels, in reality, in life. In order to defeat evil, sometimes you must become evil.
Mm-hmm.
That is why the Devil's Brigade was founded.
Mm-hmm.
Elite commandos.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me when I say this, most of the rules in the Geneva Convention were written because of what Canadian soldiers did in World War I and World War II. That's an undeniable truth. But they're like, those Canadians are nice. Yeah, but we have the Canada Goose, the Cobra chicken inside of every one of us. When we need to defend and defeat those who will bring harm to others, don't mess with us. We're nice and polite and we'll say sorry after we kill you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As evidenced by what we did in both world wars.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk to anybody who served with our troops in Afghanistan, highly respected.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And Bosnia was the same thing when we were maintaining peace.
Exactly.
We're slow to anger,
Mm-hmm.
but if you come looking for us and find us, you will have our undivided attention.
Oh, yes.
Anyway,
Yes.
stay tuned, kids. The party's about to begin. In the news, yeah, got to get saucy. Oops, sorry about that bayonet there, buddy. I could just imagine South Park. Sorry about the bayonet, buddy. I'm not your buddy. Bye. All right. We have some Daniel Smith for you today. I remember I saw somebody in the chat going, "Oh, gee, I thought you were going to talk some Danielle today," and we didn't yesterday, but today we will. Are we on short timeline again? Hard exit again?
I'm
Okay,
afraid
so we
so,
won't be
yeah.
able to go in depth in it. But let's. She had a press conference a couple of days ago where she was talking about once again trotting out her can't do attitude. We'll play this. Let's play about the first 4 minutes and 50 seconds ish of it.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll just talk after that about what happened after, and maybe we'll show some clips later on another episode. But yeah,
Okay, here we go.
Ottawa persists in trying to regulate and remake Alberta's electrical system from generation to transmission to distribution, which will make life more expensive for families and put the reliability of our grid at risk. And they're pushing ahead with their plan, even though Section 92A of the Constitution of Canada is clear that legislating and regulating the development of electricity falls within the jurisdiction of the provinces. Alberta's government is committed to protecting Albertans from federal overreach. That is why this afternoon I intend to table a resolution in the chamber under the Alberta Sovereignty within a United Canada Act. We developed this legislation to shield the province from federal intrusions, and we're using it now because the consequences of this particular overreach would be so severe. Alberta will bear the largest share of the expenses required to meet these absurd targets, and consumers and businesses will see their bills soar. If the federal government has its way, many people will be left without electricity that they can pay for on a power grid that will fall short or even fail in a typical Alberta winter or summer. We refuse to go along with this plan. Well, Albertans must have access to affordable and reliable power when and where they need it. It's a matter of health and safety and a matter of financial reality. No one should have to choose between paying their utility bills or buying needed groceries. But it's also a matter of law. As I mentioned earlier, the Constitution is clear. Electricity is a provincial responsibility. The federal government would do well to remember that. They have already lost 2 recent court battles in which their overreach into provincial jurisdiction was struck down by the courts. Ottawa's approach is also at odds with reality. Although Alberta leads the country in renewable investment, we still cannot use it for the majority of our electricity needs. For Albertans to have electricity they can count on, our province needs more baseload power from natural gas. Alberta does not have extensive hydroelectric resources that they enjoy in other provinces. We don't yet have nuclear as they do in Ontario, and that will take a lot of time and money to get there. Natural gas is the foundation of our electricity system in Alberta, and it will be for decades to come. If we don't have enough natural gas baseload power in the coming years, we will have brownouts and blackouts in the dead of winter and in the hottest days of summer. And electricity prices will be astronomical. It's simply too massive a risk for Albertans and Alberta businesses, and it's a risk that we are facing thanks to Ottawa. There's simply not enough natural gas projects coming on stream in Alberta. And the main reason we haven't received enough new applications for natural gas generation is because the federal government has created uncertainty through its proposed electricity regulations, the Impact Assessment Act, and other destructive federal policies. And even though they keep losing in court and in public opinion, it hasn't changed Ottawa's mind. And they continue to push for their net zero electricity grid by 2035. And power providers don't want to move ahead with investments when they can't be sure that there will be any returns. And they can't even be sure that they won't end up in jail. So Alberta's government must act. We can't put the stability of our electricity grid at risk. This is why we're introducing a resolution under the Alberta Sovereignty Within a United Canada Act. Our resolution will ask the legislature for approval to take several actions over the coming months. It asks Cabinet to order all provincial entities to refrain from enforcing or complying with the proposed federal electricity regulations. This obviously doesn't include individuals or private corporations. The resolution asks the government to work with partners like the Alberta Electric System Operator, the Alberta Utilities Commission, industry, Indigenous communities, and consumers to reform the electric grid with the goal to make electricity in this province more reliable and affordable. And the resolution also urges government to partner with industry and other stakeholders to study the feasibility of setting up an Alberta Crown Corporation to maintain and secure additional reliable, affordable electricity from natural gas if the clean electricity regulations continue to scare away private investors from doing it themselves. We believe in our private market, and that Albertans have been well served by it. We will continue to promote private electricity generation, distribution, and retail. We will preserve the interests and value of the hundreds of billions of dollars of capital investment made by Alberta's electricity system by private generators, transmitters, and distributors, and enable continued competition and attraction of private investment into Alberta's electricity sector. However, we also know that Alberta's proposed electricity regulations, if they continue to move forward, would simply put too many Alberta homes and businesses at risk. We need to protect against that. A Crown Corporation, as a provincial entity, could be directed to disregard the proposed federal electricity regulations if need be, and focus on ensuring we have sufficient electricity from natural gas added to Alberta's grid if private generators are unable to do so due to the risks proposed by the clean electricity regulations.
There's a little more in there. There's a little more in there. She's got 4 points to her plan.
Okay.
So
oh boy.
Yeah.
It just. I'm sorry.
I know. Trust me. I've got this.
I'm going to put the link to the entire thing in the chat here for the kids who want to watch it later because it's about 40 minutes plus. So okay, we'll go back to it.
Can you play a little bit more though?
Yeah, absolutely.
In addition, if the CERs threaten the ability of private generators to continue producing electricity at an existing power plant after 2035, a Crown Corporation could potentially purchase that power plant to maintain that power on the grid to keep the lights on in the province. And it could also partner with investors to de-risk and develop nuclear power and other emerging generation technologies in the province as we move towards carbon neutrality by 2050. These measures are not something that we want to do. They are a plan to counteract the absurd, illogical, unscientific, and unconstitutional interference in Alberta's electrical grid by a federal government that simply doesn't care what happens to our province so long as they have a good virtue signaling story to tell their leftist friends and special interests.
Oh my God.
Much rather work with Ottawa on meaningful ways to reduce emissions while continuing to generate reliable, affordable electricity. That's better for all Albertans and Canadians. But we refuse to meekly accept actions which are so plainly destructive to Alberta's economy and to the very safety and security of Alberta citizens. We will do whatever we must to stand up and protect the people of this province. And I'll now invite Minister Nathan Neudorf to say a few words.
Now, here, I want you to, before we go ahead, I just want you to play him because people said he looks tall. I want to show why he looks tall, first of all, because you'll see when she gets behind him why that is. And then while he's speaking, we won't play a lot of them. But again, you know what I mentioned about her hands? Check her hands.
Oh, she's going to start to do her. Okay. All right. Here we go. Oh, yeah. She has to be taller.
Good morning, everyone. Today's announcement is about standing up for Albertans. The clean electricity regulations as they are currently written cannot and will not be allowed to come into effect in this province. Ottawa has not yet backed down despite...
Right, we can stop. She does it through the entire time. She's talking with thumbs or she claps or like this. You know how Christopher Freeland, she's like, like this? But with her, that's the passive aggressive hands. When she's really mad, passive aggressive or like you get a lot of that like this because if you're watching the show you often see me like this holding my hands like that like she does, but they stay there unless I'm saying something, but I'm not going I'm trying to wring your neck. So that's all the aggression that she's got there. Always watch her hands when they're not hidden in front of the podium. When she's lying, when she's really comfortable and at ease, she's like this, like this. But when she is mad, passive aggressive, or just lying through her teeth, her hands work overtime. That's her tell.
Yeah.
So yes, your eyes roll. Oh my God. Lady Marlena. Again, another one who doesn't go by an actual name.
Yeah, that's right. Danielle Smith is not her name.
Premier Kolodnicki. Okay, there's so much BS there.
Oh my God. Let me get out the hip waders.
But number one, what's happening here is, first of all, there's no threat of jail.
No.
Fines, stuff like that happen. But unless you did something absolutely criminal, like no one goes to jail. Those mining companies that do those things elsewhere and then, they get sued over here. Nobody ends up going to jail. Right? And they usually get ejected from their companies with a nice golden parachute along the way. So nobody's going to jail, but she's threatened to say, oh my God, people may go to jail for that. That's utter BS. Now, she says that the province has the authority to legislate and regulate electricity. We're not talking about legislating and regulating electricity. We're talking about the emissions coming from, which is completely within the federal government's purview.
Yes, it is.
So we're not talking about regulating electricity here. So she's right off the rocker. She's using this as the first thing that she's using the Alberta Sovereignty Act within a United Canada, blah, blah, blah thing. Because she had to back down. She had to rename that to say, no, we're not separatists. And for it to be somewhat constitutional, I guess, some way. She was asked by the reporters, why do you need the act to do this? Why do you need the act to establish a crown corporation? Why do you need an act to indemnify people? Because, for example, the public health officer is indemnified if they make recommendations and happens not to turn out or something. So why do you need that? She doesn't. And at one point they just say, it's like, are you just doing this to bring more attention to it? Yep. She's literally doing it for attention. The Alberta Sovereignty Act is not required for this whatsoever. Literally for attention.
It's just mind blowing when you think
Yeah.
about it.
Now, her favorite word is baseload.
Hmm.
She says that in the press conference, well, Alberta doesn't have hydroelectric like Quebec does and doesn't have nuclear like Ontario does. And why is that? Well, hydroelectric, geographically, you don't have it. But
Mhm.
nuclear,
Yeah,
it's because your province has done nothing over the past
because they
40,
relied upon their single
50, 60
resource for
years.
40 plus.
Yeah. So the fact that you refuse to diversify your electricity grid over the last 40, 60 years is not the federal government's problem. And it doesn't entitle you to a pass to not do what you have to do. Now, she says, we'd like to have hydrogen one day. Jonathan Wilkinson, the natural resources minister, drives a hydrogen car. So certainly he's on board with that. Of course he is. Because they're telling, where she, of course, goes after Stephen Guilbeault again and completely tries to destroy him. And so journalists ask him, name something that you've done that shows that you've been trying to work collaboratively with the federal government. And she mentions hydrogen, she mentions all this stuff, but nothing on this that she's tried to work. Right? So she's being completely uncooperative. She's saying, we've said it's going to be done by 2050, not 2035, and we don't understand why the government is not working with us on that. The government said it's 2035 and not 2050, and they don't understand why you're not working with them on that. So it's like, we're prepared to work in good faith with the federal government so long as the federal government does everything we want, when we want, how we want. Is not, we're prepared to work in good faith. That's her position. Okay. Then,
She's a toddler stamping her feet if I don't get my way.
yes. And she's basically like, the 3-year-old kid that packs a little bag, says, I'm running away from home now. Open the door. I'm really gonna do it now.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm going.
See
You're
ya.
really gonna miss me.
No.
All right. Not no. Oh yes, I will miss you, but life goes on. Right. Because you don't tell your child, I'm not gonna miss you.
I don't have kids, so I wouldn't
Yeah.
know. I was never one of those kids that said I'm running away. I never did
I
that.
think I did that once. And then I realized I really liked home. So here's the thing. She basically has said that she wants to create a national energy program.
Yeah. Isn't that what? Correct me if I'm wrong, but let's go back to 1978 when Petrofina became Petro-Canada under Prime Minister Pierre Elliott Trudeau. And he developed a national energy program. And what did they say in Alberta? Let the bastards freeze in the east. So now they want a national energy program, but they're all about freedom and capitalism, but they're going to socialize. I'm sorry, I'm very confused.
She was asked about that. Says, you're a libertarian. What are you doing nationalizing? Says, well, you have to understand, we want to be a supplier of last resort, not first resort. So basically, here's the thing, right? They only supply, the only electricity is natural gas. She wants to increase baseload power with only natural gas. So we get to 2035 and there's more baseload natural gas. You still haven't diversified. She says, oh, and then she says, we'll do nuclear and hydrogen. But then she says, well, it's going to take some while to bring some nuclear regulations online. And later on, she seems to speak as if, well, there's no way that they would be completely developed and functional and online and ready in time to actually get into plant approved and built by 2035. So really, it's not an option then. And hydrogen is not an option yet. So basically, we are going to keep on doing what we're doing exactly like we're doing now with no changes whatsoever until 2035. And then when 2535 comes along, it's like, well, maybe we'll start looking at, well, she's going to be long gone by then, number one. So she's basically trying to insulate anybody from having to take any action. And then should private industry determine that, well, this is not affordable or not financially feasible for them, then we will swoop in and buy them, thus ensuring that nothing has to change after 2035 if she's going to indemnify everyone. Now, here's the other thing is she can't do that right now because there is no Crown Corporation, unlike Saskatchewan, which has a Crown Corporation for electricity. So when Scott Moe said he's going to, I do not collect the tax when he actually can pass a law somewhat indemnifying them because it exists. The Crown Corporation she speaks of would have to be written, legislated, created, staffed. How long is that going to take? So she's really announcing nothing.
No.
Literally nothing. She didn't need the
Maybe we can
Sovereignty
use her
Act
hot
to
hair
do
to
it.
power some
Yeah.
plants.
She doesn't need the Sovereignty Act to do it. She doesn't yet
Right.
have a Crown Corporation. This act is being invoked when there aren't even any federal laws in place. So, I mean, she couldn't take it to court now, even if she wanted to. Nobody is going to go to jail because there's no tradition for that whatsoever. But she's trying to prevent that. And she's making it such that, well, private companies, unless they want to still be in business in 2035, and what's going to be the business case then? Anyway, we don't have to make any changes whatsoever because then the provincial government is going to come in and just swoop in and buy us. Now, somebody pointed out in some other provinces where there is that the case, well, things are about like 30% more expensive. Like, for example, they said Trans Mountain, the federal government bought it, and boom,
Right.
the costs ballooned. Now there was COVID and all that kind of stuff. Well, aren't you just going to make it more expensive to bring that baseload power because it's not private corporations, which, according to conservative orthodoxy, do everything better and cheaper? And considering that she just announced, well, not announced, but this was in April, that she has to spend $118 million to build one school.
Private school. Yeah. One.
How much money is she going to buy all those things for? This is literally a plan to pay people way more than something is worth when it pretty much, well, I won't say becomes obsolete, but if they don't really do anything to really reduce the carbon, there's nowhere they're going to actually be able to sell their natural gas. And they keep on talking about China, but China, it was just like in the papers today, have like these big fields in the middle of nowhere where there's tons of solar being built. They're moving at the rate at which China, right? COVID, we need a new hospital there. Boom. 15 days later, there's
2
a
weeks.
hospital.
Yeah.
This. At the rate that China's doing it, really? You really think about by in 12 years from now, you're
She's
gonna have
living
a
in the
market to
past.
sell gas that doesn't meet
Nope.
GHG emissions so that it can't be sold to Europe or any other country that would have some type of carbon regulation. So the only places that you'd be able to sell her gas are to the big dictatorships of the world. And the whole premise of this is to, well, gee, we don't need to get our oil from the dictators. If only we would just champion more Alberta gas.
They don't see. Here's the thing: they have no concept of bigger picture. Number one, they don't understand chaos theory, and they don't even care. Because if they get paid today, who cares about tomorrow? That's literally their MO. Get paid today, piss on tomorrow. Except, there's some of us who would like to have a planet to live on as we grow older. I plan on sticking around for at least another 50 years, 45 at the latest. I want to make it to 100. So if she burns the planet down with her ideology, and believe me, that's what her ideology is, because she just doesn't give a damn as long as she gets paid today. And why is she going so hard on natural gas when they were leading the country in renewables?
Yes. Well, here's the other thing, right? Oh my God, all this uncertainty that the federal government's availing. Like, well, you're having other options. You can put more money into doing that faster, but no, she's put a stop on that. She's not taking initiative to make those other renewables part of the baseload equation. It's just, no, it won't be enough. It will never be enough. So, and how do we make sure it will never be enough? Let's put a moratorium and add uncertainty. The same damn thing she's accusing the federal government of doing, which they are not, because they are trying to provide security because the whole world is going this way. And it's like, you're the petulant child that they need to drag in kicking and screaming in order for Canada as a nation to be able to present a face to the world of stability and predictability. And she's the one that just will not let that happen. And that's costing all of us. All of us. And despite her, as we mentioned yesterday on the show, I believe it was yesterday, maybe the day before, Canada is the number 3 nation in the world for tracking foreign indirect investment. Imagine where we would be if we didn't have her sending those messages for an industry that's about 10% of our GDP. Imagine where we'd be. She's dead weight. She's dragging us down.
Yeah.
And everything that she says that she's against Crown Corporation, she literally announced a national energy program. And while all these past few days they've been saying carbon capture and storage, it's just not there. It's just not there yet. Apparently yesterday, they were announcing their plan for tax credits for carbon capture and storage, which they're patting themselves on the back. Oh, yes, look what we're doing. The federal credit is 4 times higher than the provincial one. So again, you didn't build that. They are saying, oh, our methane regulations are great. There's a report that just came that said that they missed their targets by 50%, but they're claiming they reached them. And you had Rebecca Schultz, who was on the other side of her yesterday going, hey, we've like really cleaned up. Our emissions are down. Yeah, because the coal-fired plants were limited thanks to Rachel Notley. You didn't build that.
Oh, and they want to go back and knock the top off a mountain to get the coal, right?
Yeah, that project that we thought was dead, that Jason Kenney is, that Australian company is back again. You know, we talked about that very briefly yesterday because I was like cramming stuff in. And the carbon capture and storage, while Brian Jean, while he was mentioning that, not only said, hey, we're going to do that for our gas, but hey, all the other rest of the world, if you want to send your carbon over here, we're happy to store it underground. But only so long as it's under places where Indigenous people currently live without any consultation. So yeah, let's just store a whole bunch of carbon, which is some form of gas, under the earth someplace, and let's see what happens to how things grow, or if things go boom or something like that. But it won't be where we live. And of course, well, since all of Alberta is Treaty 6,
well, Treaty 5, 6. It's a few different treaties, but
but it's
all treaty
territory. But let's put it under all the treaty territory. So it's none of it's our land. So we're fine to store all the worlds there. Like I said, let's start right under Cold Lake, where there's an Indigenous community. We'll start there. Let's not put it under Calgary or Edmonton. Let's just stuff it. Of course, and we don't know what happens once you stuff carbon underground. For many years, just like nobody knew what was going to happen with fracking. If you pulled all that oil out, what would happen when you created all that blank space? Well, then we found out, oh my God, instant sinkhole. More earthquakes. Wow. All the oil actually,
that works out.
Contributed to the structural integrity of Earth.
Yeah, I know.
All the damn time.
All the damn time.
All the damn time. All right, kids. This was a quick one. A lot of information.
Here's the treaty map for those who are curious. Treaty 6 is mid Alberta. Treaty 8 is northern Alberta. Treaty 7 is southern. Treaty 4 and Treaty 10 take up small portions of Alberta as well. You can see all of Western Canada, all of Alberta, Manitoba, Saskatchewan,
and most of northern Ontario.
And a good chunk of northern Ontario. Yes.
Yeah.
That's all treaty territory. So
Unceded. None of it is ours.
that's right.
None of it is ours. Like, not even close.
None of it.
And we will lose in
Yeah.
court every single time we try to claim it is. Every
And
single
for
damn
those
time.
who say, well, we'll just buy them off, I'm like, no, that's not going to happen.
No.
First off, you have to go to the Crown. The Constitution needs to be written. Those things aren't happening. So they're lying to people because they know this. They know this.
They know it.
But they'll gin up and rage farm and lie to people's faces to say, this is what we're going to do. We're going to separate. You can't do any of that.
So basically, no plan to diversify. More gas. I swear that woman's got gas coursing through her veins rather than blood.
Yeah.
It's just, and a crown corporation, and we're going to indemnify. We're going to counsel people to break the law, but she says we're not going to counsel people to break the law. So then, who's going to defy? Corporations don't do that. Individuals don't do that, and we don't have a corporation there to actually defy Ottawa. She literally announced nothing. Unbelievable. All right, Mr. Grizzly, do we have a show?
We do indeed, sir.
All right, kids and cubs. That's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you loved listening to us because we loved making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. If you would like to make sure that you do not miss an episode, thanks to the Ray Girl, you do not have to. You just go to our pod page. That's podpage.com/The True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters, all in one word. And there, when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, it will come directly to you. Also, if you would like to help us reach 500, we are so close. The last time I checked, we were like, we hit 470 and then somebody left. We got 469. So but that was
We're
last time I checked
471
yesterday.
now.
471 now. 29 away. 29 away. So if you'd like to help us get to 500 first, where we can start putting all those additional features in action for ourselves, we would appreciate that very much. Like, share, subscribe. Makes us very happy. And if you would like to support us directly, you can go to our coffee page. That's ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, lowercase letters, all in one word. And that's where you can make your contribution to our tip jar, our emergency hydration fund. And that way we can keep on bringing this wonderful product to you. Because democracy is something that you do. Get your shots. Absolutely very important. Write those letters and make those donations to the Red Cross. From the Beaver Lodge, this is, and if you want to write to us, truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. So from the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver saying, until next time, dear kids, please be kind to and gentle with yourself. Mr. Grizzly, some words of wisdom, please.
Kaopectate is your friend.
Also, one programming note. For those of us who liked our interview with director Jason Carmen talking about Golden Delicious, Cardi Wong, who is the lead in the movie, has agreed to an interview with us.
Oh, outstanding.
So we'll be preparing that for you, kids. Working hard for you. I wrote a lot of letters yesterday asking. And yes, kids, I did officially extend an invitation to Laura Babcock. And there's an invitation out to the president of the Ukrainian Canadian Congress. And we wrote all the 3 other candidates for the Ontario leadership saying, hey, we still want to hear from you and hear about your experience. So hopefully a lot of guests coming if they say yes. All right, Mr. Grizzly, roll them credits.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver media podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
You have a Easter egg for us, Mr. Grizzly.
Yes, I do.
All right.
This addresses a certain rage farming politician who's been trying to rage farm off of temporary foreign workers, specifically Korean temporary foreign workers, experts in their field. Watch this.
Foreign workers.
Well, these are short-term jobs. The money is going towards the production of these jobs down the road. That's 2,500 permanent jobs, and also that battery plant was the linchpin for the auto assembly plant in Brampton and in Windsor. And I would say, get your facts right, and also be honest with people. Some of these programs are the very things that you created yourselves, and now this is coming home to roost.
So utilizing foreign workers.
Well, these are.
I wonder who that was. I don't recognize her the face.
I'll see if I can. Lana Payne, Payne, Lana Payne.
And she's from? Do we know?
Oh, I think she's from Newfoundland.
No. I'm guessing that she's national president of Unifor. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. Kit Elaine says 244 days without nicotine. Way to go.
Well done.
Well done.
Well done.
Well done. All right, kids, have a beaver-rific day. Oh, Mr. Grizzly, ask Mademoiselle Fox to please send me an email. I have something for her.
Okay, will do.
All right. Bye, everyone.
See ya.